RV type.
All right.
With a piece of ladder line on it. It comes down the mast, and the thing's divided about probably about a quarter or a third away along the one leg. It slopes down very, very sharply. In fact, it's a bit more like a sort of Wyndham or a Carolina Wyndham type of thing, except it's as light. It's lighter than a G5 RV. So it's about this. It's less in size than a half-size G5 RV, and that might be the answer to you. You know, for 80 meters.
It could be, couldn't it? Yeah.
Mike Carter was using it tonight from Titwhistle, and I mean, if his power levels are to be believed, Mike was on the key tonight at about. I would guess he was probably, in fact, around a watt or maybe 2 watts, and I was actually picking him up here in Warrington.
Really?
Yes, indeed. In fact, well, he's odd up there. I think he's sitting on a piece of iron ore or something, which gives him a good ground plane, because basically I don't understand how he gets into South America with 4 watts. I think he uses something like he uses a power meter where the needle's stuck.
Right.
Right. He reckons he goes into South America on milliwatts, never mind watts.
Well, yeah. Well, he was working big the other night. He got as high as 8 watts, which I thought for Mike was actually a stupendous amount of electricity.
I think he's got it tied to one of them bloody great big pylons he's got at the back of his house.
Well, he's got the pylons up there at the back, but I mean, I would have said they would have been a good source of noise.
Yeah, they are. They're really noisy. In the wet, you can hear them buzzing.
I don't know.
Mike's been heard to complain about that.
Yeah, I tell you, the interesting thing is, this last 3 days or so, the QSB's been absolutely hellish as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And I keep saying to Bernard, it's associated with the disappearance of daylight. It's something about it must be something about the way the skep works as the light changes from light to day. It's probably one layer no longer reflects, and the rays got to go up to another layer to get in, get in the night sky.
Yeah,
and because when like at 4 o'clock, I'm picking Bernard up like 5'9" plus 20, and by the time he finishes at 5 o'clock, in fact, you can hardly hear him. In fact, last night, I couldn't hear him at all.
Yeah,
it's not much difference. It's a very interesting. It's amazing actually what these the effect of these layers has, and the different. The different skip distances and stuff like that, depending on how high up the layers are.
Yeah.
Anyway, I noticed you're on the thing twice now, Keith. Not contented with one picture. I have 2 pictures of you, and it's definitely you.
Keith, I think you muted yourself.
Yeah, Keith.
Unmute. Hang on a minute. Let me see if I can unmute you.
Unmute him. Can you hear us now, Keith?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, can hear you now, Keith.
I was just saying, in fact, not contented with one picture. I've got you up twice.
There is a reason for that, Tom.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay.
You'll see in a minute when I start to do the presentation. I'll be sharing the screen on the computer.
And you've got 2 cameras, I suppose. And
when I try and do a contact on FT8 using the computer, it will take over the sound card.
Right.
So you won't hear me through the computer. So I've got the iPad set up. So there is a method. There's a method in the madness.
Right. Got you. Yeah.
Good evening, David.
Yeah.
Oh, heck. You're a bit crackly tonight, David. Yeah. So sounds like your bandwidth's a bit down again.
Hey, I'll tell you what, a good tip. Actually, if it's just like that, sometimes, in fact, if you log out and log back in again.
Yeah, try that, David.
You get a better connection.
What's this then?
This is Keith's presentation going up.
Right, okay. Just to let everybody know as well, Tony can't make it tonight, so I'm hosting it. That's why you can see Tony's name on my picture, just to let everybody know. Good evening, Ron, and good evening, Dave.
Oh, yeah, you all right?
Yeah, you, mate.
Yeah, good.
Good. So you should see at the minute, Keith's trio office on the main screen.
I've got it on got it on mine.
Yeah,
Yeah. So whenever you're ready, Keith, you can take it over. If you want to hang on for a little bit longer.
I'll hang on just a couple of minutes if you like.
Yeah, see if we get anybody else on.
Anyway, while we're waiting, Pete, how are you doing?
Depressed and bored is about the summary.
Well, I mean, that probably goes for all of us, actually. I mean, I'm in much the same position as yourself. I don't know whether to stay in or go out or sit here and drink. Actually, in fact, I seem to be doing more of that than they used to.
Yeah.
You need to get out, Tom. Get them endorphins going. Don't sit in, you'll get fat.
On the screen there.
Well, yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, it's very true that. Yeah.
Can you all see it?
Yeah, looks
Yes.
nice to say that, Keith.
Right,
Yeah, I noticed you've got an old-fashioned call sign on there.
I know. I forgot to change it on the slide, but it doesn't matter, Pete. I trust you to notice that.
There's only Pete and spot that.
I know. He'll spot a lot more before I finish, I'm sure. God bless him.
Yeah.
I think Bernard's supposed to be joining us tonight as well.
Yeah, I'd say it's still a bit early days, isn't it?
Well, it is,
Probably best
actually,
wait
yes.
until about. We probably best wait until about 1:30, I reckon, Keith.
Yes, that's right. Yes, definitely.
And then just to see how we get on. I would imagine
Yeah.
there's going to be a few more coming in. It's
Yeah.
a funny old time between 7 and 1:30, isn't it? So
Well, a
people
lot
have
of people
just,
assume that
coming
joining
in.
means join at past.
yeah.
Yeah.
You been all right today, Ron?
yeah, good mate. You?
Yeah. We shot down to the boat last night. Just there was no change. I don't know. We've not had anything back.
Yeah, they're having a little.
Email wise.
They're having
Hear me, Chris?
Chris has got his last of the summer wine hat on tonight.
a-
Where's he gone? Let's get some eating.
Yeah. He's got. I can't remember which one it was now. There was Compo, Clegg, and Foggy. Actually, one of them used to wear a hat like that. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yeah. The heater. Yeah.
Somebody's got a bit of feedback. Might be Keith.
Not me.
We've got two pictures. Have we got two sets of on mute on, Keith?
He's down to one picture now.
No, he's got two. He's split now, hasn't he? That's better. Whatever you do. Oh, he's got three now. You got three pictures on now, Keith.
I can't. I've only got two cameras.
That's weird. Oh, you've got a big picture and two small ones. It's all right. We'll give it a go.
Let me know when if you're ready. Yeah.
I still got that feedback coming through. Somebody's got some feedback coming through.
One camera speed.
Oh, wait.
Is it that
Nice.
sweetie?
Can anybody else hear that?
Yeah, can hear
Yeah, like
Feedback
there.
coming back. You know, like a radio's on in the background.
Yeah.
It's probably Chris. He's probably on Morse code.
Still hear it. Somebody's got it.
I don't know how to get rid of it.
Keith, have you
Oh.
got both? You can mute one of your cameras, Keith.
Right. Let's have a go.
Hear me now.
Hiya, mate. All right.
Yeah, not bad.
Was that cured it?
Tony's not coming on tonight. Oh, he's going to be a bit late, so I'm hosting it until he gets here. So if you see my name on his name on my picture, you'll know why. Oh, that's awful.
Nigel, there's an echo on yours.
Is it mine? Can't be mine. Can't be.
I'm not seeing the squeak, but definitely an echo.
I've just unmuted one of mine. Is that better?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's it. You've done it.
Right.
I was going to say, with the only one that's got two things on, I can imagine it's probably going to be that one. It's normally feedback from one mic to the other, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's sorted out.
If everybody's ready, I'll start if you want.
Yeah, fire away. It's all yours, Keith.
Okay, mate. Right. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
The title of tonight's presentation, well, mini presentation, is setting up FT8, and hopefully we'll log a contact and show you the logging procedures. But keep your fingers crossed for that one. A little bit about myself. I've been involved in radio since 2005. That's when I got my M3. Got me 2E0 in 2018, and the M0 3 weeks ago. So that's a little bit about me. FT8, it's not for everybody. There are people that love it, people that hate it, and people that sit in the middle. It's a mode of operation, and it can be quite rewarding. The pros, of course, of FT8 is you don't need a lot of power. You don't need a fancy all singing, all dancing antenna. You can actually make contacts with a wet piece of string. And also, if you've got a modern-ish radio, it's quite easy to set up if you've got a sound card inbuilt in the radio. Most modern radios, like 7300s, 7610s, all the new Icon stuff, Yaesu from the 991A, up to the newfangled stuff, the 101s, they've all got built-in sound cards. If you want to try FT8, if you've got an older radio, you will definitely need some form of interface to go between the radio and the computer. Are we all okay with that?
Yeah, fine.
Yeah. Right, we'll start. Now, the basics of FT8 is the first thing you need to do is download the drivers to your to PC via the Icon website or the Yaesu website or Kenwood or whatever manufacturer of your radio is. And this enables, of course, your rig to communicate with the computer. Now, one thing I would suggest you don't do, until you've downloaded those drivers, don't connect your radio to the computer with a USB cable, because what will happen is Windows will try and allocate it a driver that it thinks it needs. And 9 times out of 10, it won't be correct and will not communicate with the software that you need for FT8. So just a little bit of a tip. Get the drivers installed before you connect your radio. You all understand that bit, yeah? You've loads and loads of info on the web. You've got YouTube, stuff like that, which will help you within the settings that you will need to configure the software that you will download once you've got the drivers. Now, download the latest version of Wsjt software to your PC. It's freeware, so it won't cost you anything. Wsjt stands for Weak Signal. Joe Taylor is the guy, so that's his initials within it. Joe Taylor's an American ham who developed the software, not on his own, with other hams over in the States. The next one is very, very important. You need a clock syncing program to keep your computer clock within plus or minus 1 second. This is very important because you won't decode signals. The internal Windows clock is not accurate enough, and there's various free programs available on the web. Pete put me onto a very good one which runs in the background. I can't remember what it's called now, but Pete can tell us that later.
It's called Dimension 4 or D4.
That's it, Dimension 4. I have that running in the background, but I also have a little application on my desktop that if I notice it's a bit out and Dimension 4 hasn't kicked in, I can just click on that and sync now, and it will sync it, and it tends to work very, very well. Once you've got the clock syncing program, you've got the software, connect your rig to the PC via a very good quality USB cable. Get the best you can. Most modern radios, like I said before, the 7300, the 991A, etc., have internal sound cards, so you don't need anything else, just a good quality USB cable. Once you've done that, you can open the Wsjt software and then configure your settings for your individual radio and your individual operating requirements. Now, tonight, when I go on and show you the Wsjt software, I'll be showing you how it works for me. I'm not going to say that that is, you know, set in stone. You may be able to tweak it with the way you want to operate. So that's that. Once you've got to that point, you need to open the settings in the software, click on General tab, and you need to enter your call sign and your grid reference. My grid reference is India Oscar 83 WK. We all know what they are. And then check the boxes that suit the way you want to operate. I personally like to click on CQ calls, which enable the software to transmit. And I'll show you that. It's the third box down under behavior. Once you've entered those, click OK. Then you want to click on the radio tab. From the drop-down menu, find your rig. In my case, it does say there IC 7300, but I've now got an ICOM 7610. So you just search for whichever radio you've got and in the drop-down menu and click on it. Then you want to select the correct COM port. This is from the drivers that you downloaded. In my case, it's COM4. But now it's changed because I've got the 7610. I think it might be COM5, but I'm not sure. You will find in the COM port drop-down menu, it will have created two COM ports. And I find the first one it shows is the one that works. But you can play around with that. If the first one you select doesn't work, click on the second one and try that. Select the baud rate. In my case, it's 19200. You can check your radio manuals to see what the baud rate is for your specific radio. But in my case, it works at 19,200. Data bits, stop bits, handshake, leave them at defaults. The mode, you'll see where all these are, by the way, when I open the software. Leave the modes, or change the mode if it's not already selected to data packet. You'll see another option, split operation, rig or fake it. I always use fake it. If you click rig, what it will do, the software will put your rig into split mode. If you click fake it, the software will transmit the other frequency rather than change it on your radio. It tells your radio to transmit on that radio. But they both work. It just saves you. If you put fake it, it saves you having to come out of the split mode on your radio once you've finished your FT8 session. Once you've done all that, there's a test button. Click the test cat. It should turn green. That's showing that your computer is communicating with your radio. If you've got all that and it's turned green, everything's fine, click OK. Click on the audio tab. If the drivers have been installed correctly, the sound card settings should show something in, well, it does for ICOM anyway. I can't speak for Yaesu and I can't speak for Kenwood. It should show USB audio codec. If it does, or if it doesn't, and you can find it, click on them both for transmit or microphone and speakers. I'll show you that when we get to the software. And then click OK. Right, that's it. Basically, those are the only settings that you will need to get you started on FT8. Now, what we're going to do now, hopefully, I'm going to fire up my radio. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, that's good. Because I'm not coming through on the computer now.
You're a bit quiet, Keith, but we can still hear you, though.
That's fine. I'm coming through on the iPad now. Right, I'm going to start the Wsjt software. And hopefully you'll see what it looks like. Okay, can you all see that?
Yeah.
Right, at the moment, my radio is set on 14.237.03, which is what I was using this afternoon on single sideband. But because I've now set up the radio to communicate with the computer, let's say I want to work FT8 on 40 meters. All I do from that drop-down menu there, look at that, go to 7.074, which is the frequency for FT8 on 40 meters. If I click on that, you may or may not hear the radio with the data signals coming in. Can you hear it? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We're now set on 7.074. There is another window of WSJ and that's the waterfall, showing where all the activity is. Your sliders here receive and transmit and put them into a busy part of the frequency, if that's what you want to do.
Okay, turn your radio.
Pardon?
Turn your radio down.
Turn the radio.
Feedback.
Now.
Yeah, Keith.
You get a bit of feedback, Keith. Yeah.
That's better.
Better. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I don't normally mess around a lot with this. I just tend to leave it. Pins pixel set at 3. And all these settings here, I just leave as defaults. But you can move these sliders around to different parts of the band if you so wish. I normally minimize that. Now, there is another program that runs alongside Wsjtx called Wsjt Alerts. If I start that, what that will do, when signals start to come in, which we're not showing any at the moment, it might be to do with feedback from these cameras. I did say about the clock syncing program. Maybe the clock isn't synced. I will try that. Where is atomic clock there? Before I do that, I'll just, can you see these red boxes here?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's 1.7 offset on the time.
Just turn your radio down a bit, Keith.
Yeah, I'll have to turn it up when I come to make a contact, but I'll turn
Yeah, that's all right. You can't hear you. It's killing it, everybody.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Right, that's good. That means the clock offset is 1.7, either plus or minus, minus that one. Oh no, that's the decibel. Sorry, 1.7 seconds out. If you see a lot of these red boxes, it means your clock's out. If you see just one or two, it might mean it's their clock that's out. Do you understand that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to open that little application. Atomic execute. Yes. Synchronization interval. Sync now. That should, if I turn back my AF gain again, I will see something coming. Can you see all those signals now?
Yes. Yes.
Now those are signals that are coming in, and you can see that most of them are under a second there.
Right.
So that's what my clock syncing program has synced my clock, which is acceptable now for FT8.
Right.
Now, Wsjt Alerts at the bottom here, I have it set up to show me work before station. So if I've worked a station before, it would be greyed out. If you're just starting out with FT8, I wouldn't worry about it. So let's see if we can make a contact. So, excuse me, because I've turned the gain up. I'm going to click on E7 station. Now it's gone straight across there. I'll give him a call. It's transmitting now. E77SA.
That's M0YJP, is that not?
That's me.
That's you, yeah. That's right. Okay. Right.
You can leave it transmitting now. Give him a second call. You can see all these boxes here are standard here.
Yeah.
Come back to me. Can you see?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see.
Transmitting now, it's moved down one box there. Move to there. Let's see if he comes back again. He's not come back. I think what's happening is it's interfering with the you can leave this going like this until he comes back with 73s. There he is.
So you've worked him twice?
Yeah, I've responded. Dropping out. He keeps responding to me, and I'm keeping responding back. Now it might be due to propagation.
So you've worked him 4 times now?
Yeah, but he's still not giving me 73s.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Where does the 73 appear, Keith?
I think we'll move to station. Doesn't respond this time. Receive 73.
Wow.
I've gone back 73s. Now
Right.
it's prompted me to log the QSO.
Oh, I see. Right.
Click OK.
Yeah.
QSO now. QSO log.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, I see it on the screen.
Right. Did everybody understand that bit?
Yeah. So you have to wait. It's part of the protocol. You have to wait for the 73
Exactly.
before you
Now-
actually log it.
Yeah. But what some people do, which I don't personally agree with, is they will see this guy responding once, twice, 3 times, and they get sick of waiting for the receive 73, and they click on 73s and send 73s, which prompts you to log the QSO.
Right.
But
I see.
then he might not have received that.
No, right. Got you. Yeah.
Because he's not received the other 3. What makes you think he's going to receive that
See
one?
that one, yeah. You're
Right. Got you.
So that's a bit of a cheat, really, because what a lot of people are doing is they're logging it as a QSO when it's not really a bona fide QSO, if you like.
Got you. Got you.
So that's the way to do it. Now, if you want to send CQ yourself instead of replying to a CQ, can you see there that my standard messages has now gone to the bottom one, which says CQ M0YJP?
Yeah.
Now, all I do there, if I want to call CQ, I will click on. Oh, by the way, can you see the blue thing that's going at the green bar? It goes across in 15-second increments.
Yeah, the bottom.
Yeah. An FT8 transmission is always in a 15-second increment.
Right.
And that's what you're seeing there. So if I enable transmit now, on the next 15-second interval or increment,
So every time you do your TX, it makes that horrible screeching noise, and that's like
no, I can't do that. Can you see that now I'm sending CQ?
bloody awful.
I'm sorry. Can you
Oh,
see there?
It
Yeah,
sounds like
last entry.
it sounds like a dial-up tone from bloody years ago.
Can you see
a
that?
modem.
CQ.
Yeah, it's on the bottom level, bottom on the right-hand side.
Right.
There's
Right,
your
somebody's
CQ.
replied to me. So I click on that. SQ6WJ.
Yeah.
I clicked on it. I'm now replying to him because he's replied to my CQ.
Yeah.
Right.
And it'll move down as he comes back to
There's that awful noise again.
It's
So
not
is that-
noise, it's
is that-
music.
Is that you transmit it to him then?
No, that's right. Come back to me again.
Come back. Yeah, but he's not put
Now he
CQ.
sent me 73.
RR73.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't actually have a contact with him as a voice contact, do you?
Oh God, no.
Right. Right. Okay.
That's the
I will log that contact.
Right.
Digital tones, isn't it? It's an audio tone.
Yeah, it's a digital tone.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. So that is 2 different ways of making a QSO. Replying to a CQ call that you see over here by double clicking on it,
Yeah.
or sending CQ yourself, wait for a reply in red and double click on it.
Right.
Did we all understand that bit?
Yeah.
Right. The third way of QSO that I personally do, I'm not saying you want to do it, but you might want to do it. I have in my favorites PSK Reporter.
Right.
Now, if we go into PSK Reporter and click Display Reception Reports, All bands? No, I don't want all bands. I want 40 meters because that's where we've just been working, isn't it?
Yeah.
Click on 40 meters. There. Can you see all those 7 minutes and so many minutes here and that?
Yes, yes.
That's where I've been heard.
Right.
Okay.
Now, I've not been heard very far away because at the moment 40 meters isn't really that good.
No.
Yeah.
It will be a lot better later. But
11 o'clock, it'll be fine.
it'll be fine. But let me say, if I see one of these where they've heard me over here in the Caribbean,
Yeah.
over here in Malaysia or something,
Yeah, yeah.
hover my mouse over it and it'll tell me who's heard me there.
Right. Right.
There you go.
It's telling me that RQ 2Q has heard me.
Right, you got you.
Now, let's say that he's a DX station that I particularly want to work. Yeah?
Yeah.
R2, RQ 2Q. So what you do then, I've minimized that. In that box there,
Yeah.
I type in, what was it? R2.
RQ2Q. RQ2Q.
R2Q2. Was it?
No,
Yeah.
D2.
Romeo, Quebec 2. Romeo.
Stop it.
2Q.
So I type in there R2
U2.
Q2 and then click generate standard messages. Can you see now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Come up there.
Mm-hmm.
Can you see that?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Enable transmit, and on the next 15-minute cycle.
Seconds.
Oh, it's awful. Sounds like shit.
Actually,
turn your volume.
That box there.
Drive me mad, that.
Box, I'm now going to call R2Q2.
Go on, then.
I'm calling him. He might reply to me, but then again, he might not.
Yeah.
It was RQ2Q.
It was, yeah. Well, I've come out of it, but you get the general idea.
Yeah. Principle.
Yeah. So
Right.
there's three ways of making a contact, shall we say.
Right.
Replying to a CQ call by clicking over here.
Yeah.
And then calling CQ yourself, or looking on PSK Reporter and picking out a call sign and giving him a call.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are we all okay with that?
Yeah.
Right, what I'm going to do now, remember when we first started, I said I'd show you the settings that I did on the PowerPoint within the program.
Yeah.
File, settings,
Yeah.
general. Now I'd say, put your call sign in. That's where you put it, there.
Yeah.
I put your grid reference in there.
Mm-hmm.
Transmit messages to RS frequency window. That means when you've answered somebody, it transfers it over here.
Yeah.
Over to the other window, which is that side.
Yeah.
And then the one down, double click on call, sets transmit enable. That enables it as soon as you double click on a CQ call to enable the transmit.
Got you.
That is the only settings I open in that tab. Then we go to radio. You'll see there's the drop-down menu. There's the drop-down menu for the radios. You can see mine is ICOM IC7610.
Yeah.
See, I've got it set on COM5 because that is the COM. It created through COM5 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
COM5 works. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
Baud rate 19200, 19200.
Yeah.
These default. leave them. This side you want cap, this side you want data packet, and as I said before, to stop putting your radio into split, make it. Do we understand that?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah.
As I press test cap, it turns green.
Right.
So that shows it's working.
Yeah.
Cool.
So the tabs here, colours you can change for what's coming in. I don't bother with any of those at all. I just leave them as they were.
Right.
So those are the only tabs are within them two. And perhaps look at the audio. At the moment it's default audio device because I've turned it off.
Right.
The USB audio codec, which is that one, so you can change it to them.
Right.
That's for your audio input and output. Those are the only things that I filter. Now, this button here says tune. If you're going through an auto tune, or if you're going through your internal tuner on your rig, you can use that. And it tunes your rig just like it would if you press the talk switch.
Okay.
And it gets your WR to what you want. I've been through enable transmit. If you get fed up because nobody's answering you, you can halt transmit with that button there.
Right.
Is all that reasonably clear?
Yeah.
Well, we did. And what I'm going to do now, because I've shown you how to make contact, I'm going to turn the radio off, and then we won't get this horrible squealing. Yeah. Now, hopefully, because I've turned that off, we won't get any squealing. Because I've turned it off, I've got a rig control error. That's okay. I'll get rid of it. Because what I want to show you now, I'm going to move.
It's turn one of your mics off, Keith, because you got loads of feedback coming again because you got two on.
Yeah, I've turned one off. I've turned one off. Is it better? Is that better?
Yeah, a little bit better.
Right. Right. We as you saw before, we did log. I think we logged 3 QSOs, didn't we? Or 2 QSOs?
Yeah, I think there's 3 there.
Yeah. Where did they go? That's the next question.
Right.
They go in File.
Yeah.
Open log directory and look for the file that says WSJTX log. Can you see that?
Yeah, yeah.
Drag it out. Just drag it onto your desktop.
Yeah.
Because the next time you operate FT8, it will create another one.
Right.
Okay, so you're not doing any damage by doing that.
Yeah.
Now, I use a program for my own personal log called WL32, and it's there. I'll open that. And as you can see, there's some of my logs. And all I want to do now is import them. So I put import Keith desktop WSJTX, bang, 2 QSOs imported.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
There they are. We work E77SH and we work SQ8WZ.
Yeah.
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 Now I use EQSL, QRZ, and Logbook of the World. Because if you know what I said to you before about people not waiting for 73s and logging them as QSOs,
yeah,
the only ones I'm interested in are confirmed.
Right.
Way to get confirmations is definitely, if you're interested in this, is have a log of the world account.
Right.
And then you can download your confirmations from there. But I have WinLog 32 configured so that if I click on that first one there,
Yeah.
777 was Bosnia Herzegovina, whatever you call it. Left click on there, upload to QSL, gone. I've uploaded it.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's good, that.
Upload to QRZ, done.
Right.
Move down, SQ8, which is Poland. Right click, upload to EQSL, done. Upload to QRZ, done. And now with the EQSL account, and they're also on my QRZ logbook.
Right, yeah, that's clever.
I've finished that now. I'll come out of that, quick log, yeah, no. Now, did mention Logbook of the World. You have to set it up, get yourself a signed certificate. I'm going to upload, sign a log, and upload it to Logbook of the World. Wsjt log. Because I've got 2 call signs on there and 2 certificates, because I've only just become an M0, I'll click on the M0 one. Yes. Okay. Uploaded 2 QSOs into Logbook of the World.
Right, yeah, that's good.
I can then go on Logbook of the World at any time through QRZ or Club Log and download any confirmations that I might have got.
Could you just show us that out of interest?
Which one?
Downloading from World Log, whatever you call it. For you to confirm one.
Oh, yeah, by all means. If I go into my, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go into my QRZ account, yeah?
Yeah.
M0YJP, password 01. Let's have a look. That's my page. Okay. 2 new alerts. I'm wondering if it's them too.
Probably is.
Right, I'm going to the logbook.
Yeah.
Right. No, it's
There they are.
There we are, yeah.
That's it.
Those are the 2 contacts I made.
Can
Yeah.
you make it full screen?
You might be able to see they're in white and the ones below are in a bit of a green colour.
Yeah.
Go into settings. Now, because I've set up for Logbook of the World, Log of the World setup, you have to get set up. You go in there and put your username in and then upload your certificate that you get from Logbook of the World. Then it will sync.
Right.
So what I'm going to do now is go back to my logbook, and under the same tab, which is settings, the box is getting away. Settings, import, retrieve records and confirmations from your Log of the World account. Import.
Yeah.
In my Log of the World password. Import from Log of the World. It does take a couple of minutes. No new confirmations, no records added. And that means, because I checked that earlier today, so no more confirmations have come through. I check periodically just to see if I've got any confirmations. I'll go back to my logbook and you should see that all the ones now are green because it's checked those last 2 that I did.
Right.
Do you understand that?
Yeah.
Right. I'm going to log out of that now. That's my QRZ account. The only thing I've got to do now is upload that 2 contacts to, if you're a member of Club Log, just sign into Club Log and import it in the same way.
Right.
Okay. Right. All
Keith,
I'm going to do now.
Keith, I have a question.
Yes, by all means. What I'm going to do is stop sharing, Tom. And I can probably see you a bit better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. What I was going to ask you was, do you actually, is that a free account you've got with QRZ.com, or do you actually pay them some money?
I have a free account with EQSL, Logbook of the World, and QRZ. Although you subscribe.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, but you can, with QRZ.com, there's about 3 different levels of. You can either have the free one, which doesn't give you much facilities, and then you've got one where you can handle, is it ADI files, and there's another one where they do some other clever stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm a platinum member.
Okay.
So I've subscribed to it. I think it cost me about 70 quid a year.
That's about right. Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Now that's the only one I subscribe to.
Mm-hmm.
I don't pay for Log of the World. It's free.
Mm-hmm.
Although Log of the World is a pig to set up.
Right. Yeah.
Once it's done, it's done. Mm-hmm. I don't subscribe to EQSL. That's totally free. Mm-hmm. Club Log, of course, is totally free. Mm-hmm. Getting your logs on the HF ladder is just a matter of speaking to Pete Ridley.
That's right. Yeah. 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 Good. Thank you.
Right.
Share a screen.
That is it. I try to keep it as short as possible.
Sorry.
Because obviously I don't want to bore anybody. But if there are any questions, like I said in the beginning, FT8 is probably something you either love or hate, or you might be in the middle. And I'm definitely in the middle. I was quite avid on FT8, but I've since, having done it for nearly 2 years off and on, I'm doing it less and less. I've got a little bit bored with it, shall I say?
Okay.
Tom, yeah.
Yes, I was going to ask you if you'd ever tried PSK 31 or PSK 33, 63.
Yeah. I've tried PSK 31.
Yes.
And I quite liked it.
Yes, I used to do PSK 31. I when I went on to CW, I tended to ease off on that, but it does give you the flexibility that basically you can have a rag chew on PSK 31.
Exactly, and I used to like that, Tom.
Yes, yes.
But what you're finding now is not a lot of people are on PSK 31 because they've moved over to FT8.
That's correct. Yes, I wondered if you had a comment on that. That's fine. Yeah. Thanks, Keith. Anybody else? Yeah.
Yeah, and what I was saying before about the logging, you know, when I touched on that bit about the unwritten rule, if you like, of FT8, which is to receive and transmit a 73.
Yeah. Got you. Yeah.
If I've done a session on FT8 and after half an hour or 3/4 of an hour, I'm fed up with it, to be honest now. I've worked all the countries I want to work with it, and that's about it. But I go into my EQSL account and I see loads of red ones that are sending me an EQSL card, but I haven't logged them.
Right.
Now that's because I've not responded to 73s to them. They may have contacted me, but I haven't heard them because of propagation or whatever it might be, and dropped out. Yeah. So I don't log them. So what I do, I go straight the way through them and I just click reject, 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 not in my logbook. Reject, 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 not in my logbook.
Yeah,
I'm seeing more and more now. I was talking about this the other night. I worked a guy in Greenland on FT8. Greenland, you don't see come up very often. So I wanted to work him, so I worked him.
Yeah.
And it took ages.
Yeah.
He kept coming in. Because of propagation, he wasn't hearing me. But we persevered. And it must have taken 5 or 6 minutes before we exchanged and received 73. once I've done it and logged it, I looked him up on QRZ, and he's actually put on his QRZ page, I will not confirm any QSO on FT8 unless I've received 73s and sent 73s.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And like I said before, the only thing I'm interested in with contacts on FT8 is confirmed one. If that explains it. Yes, Tom.
Yes, another question, Keith. What kind of power are you putting out, in fact, and what kind of antenna are you using? And give me an idea of your range. I noticed on your that one page of the world you had there, basically that you'd been into Japan. Is that have you actually got as far as Japan?
Oh yeah, I've been into the Falkland Islands, Japan, over into Malaysia, China, South America, the States.
Right.
Using different antennas. I mean, when I first started, I used a multi-band vertical, and I couldn't make very many contacts on SSB because it was a very compromised antenna with no radials. It was just had a matching unit on the back. But I made quite a few contacts on it on FT8.
Yeah,
this is back in the time when I was 2E0, of course, and I was limited on power.
Yeah.
But since then, I've upgraded a bit, and I use an Aerial 51 asymmetrical dipole on a fiberglass pole. I've also got a fixed V-shaped trap dipole on the back of the house. The power I use, now bear in mind that FT8 is not a low power mode. A lot of people think it is. It's a weak signal mode. There's nothing to stop you using 100 watts if you want to. You don't need to. You can make contacts on 5 watts, 10 watts. This is why it's quite attractive to new license holders to get a foot on the rung of working stations abroad.
I was going to make a similar comment about PSK 31. In fact, back in the days when I was doing it, which is so 15 years ago, that basically you can go along with PSK 31 as well, further than you would with single sideband, for phone contact. Yeah.
One thing I will say is when you set your radio up talking about power, which I should have said before, I never set my radio more than 30, 40 watts when I'm transmitting FT8. 30, 40 watts.
Yeah.
What you want to see is very low ALC.
Yeah.
On the radio.
Yeah.
Now, the way to do that is adjust the USB level in your menus. Get the USB down, and there's a power slider on that FT8 on the right-hand side that you can adjust up and down. If you can get that slider near the top, and when you're transmitting, you're showing very little or no ALC, then you're right. You won't be splattering.
I mean, just to point on that, Keith. I mean, FT8 is not linear, so it's probably not, unlike PSK 31 or 63 or whatever. You're only producing one tone at any point in time. So I mean, it's good to do that, but it's probably not as essential as you would say PSK. I mean, PSK is a tone spread across several hertz.
That's right.
So that can intermix and you get into modulation and things like that. But I mean, you're right. I think you get people who just drive up the power. The ALC is probably going full pelt, and they are producing harmonics, particularly when they're using a very low tone. That's the other thing. Certainly for PSK, the idea is to. I mean, this one reason why you have RTTY generally at tones of about 2,000 hertz, because the harmonic is well outside of the pass band. Whereas if you're producing, say, a tone of 100 hertz, you could be easily producing harmonics within 200, another 100 hertz within that.
What I should have pointed out when I was on the WSJTX program on strength. when you look at anything that's coming in on CQ calls or whatever else you're doing, you will see them in minus decibels normally. Now, if you see a CQ call at anything under minus 24, I use that as a ballpark figure. There's a good chance that if you reply to that CQ call, you might have a chance of getting them. There's a very good chance you'll get them if they're below minus 10.
Oh, yeah. Well within reach.
If they come back to you and they're saying that your signal report is plus 20, then there's obviously you're too strong. You know, reduce it a bit, reduce your ALC, reduce your USB levels, you know, and get it so that you're in that ballpark figure.
You're going to blow up your PA. I mean, this is the thing. You've got a full deflection, full duty cycle mode for at least 10, 15 seconds.
The
constantly, and it's people just burn them out.
You have to watch as well with FT8 is because it's a digital mode. If you've got shall we say, not a very good resonant antenna, you're using an external tuner, something like I don't know, an MFJ. An MFJ I use when it's attached to the radio, something like that. Also tuner. This is rated at 200 watts SSB CW. SSB and CW is giving you the clue. It's 50% not rated at 200 watts or anywhere near on digital. And when I look in the small print of that tuner, it's 50 watts.
Yeah.
For digital. So something to be mindful of when you're talking about power with FT8. If you're using one of these, keep the power low when you're tuning through one of those.
I think with CW, I mean, it tunes CW and SSB, and they are 50% duty cycle modes, and the peak power is not there for long anyway. Yeah, it is a fine print thing. I mean, they should actually say, you know, the wattage together with, and say CW/SSB or something, so you know that's a 50% duty cycle. And like anything, it'll wear it out. And the PA, people have blown up their PAs left, right, and centre with FT8. Even relatively low power. You think 30 watts is low power, not on FT8 it isn't.
I heard a story the other day, actually, when I was looking on QRZ, a station I've worked, who blew up his rig because he was transmitting 100 watts all the time on FT8.
No, serves him right. What an idiot.
I mean, your own common sense should tell you not to do that.
I think a lot of people don't know. I mean, it's not really said that often, and if you don't know it, you don't know it.
Yeah, but it's normally, you know, if people read the manuals, people read them. Yeah, well, maybe not. I mean, if it's something to be very mindful of, you know, keep the power as low as possible. I mean, when you pass your exams, use the most power you need to make the contact. Is always stated somewhere. And FT8 is a perfect example of that. Keeping the power low. And like I say, I never, ever have I used above 50 watts on a 100-watt ring.
Yeah.
And generally, it's between 30 and 40. Depending on what I see the signals coming in. The people that are replying to me.
I mean, really, if saying that something very shallow, like, and then you know,
exactly.
You set it up on radio, it's power at the low, until you get put the appropriate power on. That's for everybody.
That's a good point, Alan. A very good point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Peter, you're quite into FT8. Have you got any comments?
Yeah, I've got a few. about the settings tabs, if you go into the reporting tab, you need to set up the reporting to PSK Reporter. I don't think it's on by default.
It was on mine.
Well, I don't think it was on my. It might have changed through different versions.
Yeah.
And about PSK Reporter, you've got everything showing from the last 12 hours. I always use showing the last 15 minutes so I can see what's live.
Yeah, yeah. Of course you can change those settings. I mean, I just left it at 12 hours from the last time I was looking. I do change it from time to time, like you say, Peter. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is you don't have to wait for somebody to call CQ to call them back. If you see somebody calling RR73, it's quite legitimate to start calling them because they've said they've finished.
Yes, yeah, yeah. But like I said, Peter, right at the beginning, I was giving a very brief presentation to people in the right ballpark to get us going.
The other thing is about power. Bearing in mind my aerial's the proverbial bit of wet string, I find that 20 watts is perfectly adequate. Don't need any more.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be using any more anyway, really. It's supposed to be a weak signal mode.
Oh, that doesn't mean it's a low power mode. It means it's a weak signal.
Yeah, maybe.
I think we've had this discussion before, Peter. You have somebody close by to you that operates FT8 on 100, did you say once?
Well, he's only about half a mile away, and he regularly puts in a plus 35 dB signal into me.
Wow. He is strong.
Yes.
I think, can I just say something about it? I think the ARRL made a real error in classifying the weak signal modes, basically bundling them in with the other digital modes like PSK and RTTY, because they are completely different and completely different in sort of form and also performance. I mean, you're looking at PSK 31 as the sensitivity, the minimum signal to noise ratio that you can get away with is, I think it's about minus 10 dB. Well, you're looking at FT8, it's minus 27 or something, and it's just a completely different kettle of fish. And what it has done is that it's just meant that people who want digital DXCC obviously just do FT8 because the performance is just so much better. And it has killed. That's one reason why it's killed PSK. And well, Ritty was sort of dying out anyway. But people who enjoyed PSK, well, don't see any activity outside of contests anyway.
Well, I used to use PSK 31 quite a lot. Yeah. But I got so fed up because there's nobody ever on because it all moved to.
But they used. Tell you what, when I joined, when I 2007, 2008. I mean, you just on the weekend, even if there wasn't a digital contest on, I mean that whole area between 14070 and 14073 was just jam packed with signals.
Yeah.
On the weekend, and at night, the 7 megs would be, heaving with PSK. I mean, it annoyed people because it was sort of causing Ritty to fade out a bit. Ritty was the traditional mode, and that's really just a purely contest mode now. But it has meant that something that people once enjoyed is now not there because of FT8.
Yeah,
and I think the mistake was the ARRL's mistake. It's not the fault of FT8. It's the powers that be. It's you could say.
I'd agree there, Evan. Yeah, that's right. When I started with PSK 31 as well, you could have a rag chew with it actually and spend quite a bit of time on it, and you contact 2 or 3 people in a session, and maybe have 7 minutes or 8 minutes, clicking away as fast as you could.
Yeah. I mean, you had the brag sheets, the obvious macro.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Blah,
Yeah.
blah. But you also, he did had some conversations as well.
Yeah. It's typing for PSK 63 is a bit.
Oh, it's fast.
You got to be fast. Yeah.
It'll be fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, like I said right at the beginning, FT8 seems to have people firmly in the love camp, some people firmly in the hate camp, and some people that were in the middle. And I think I fall in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't decry it. I've used it. I've used it for nearly 2 years, but I'm now getting fed up with it.
Yeah, I think it may be the case. I mean, people have said that with the solar cycle picking up again, people might switch back to more traditional modes, knowing that they can get DX and stuff. I mean, that may be true, or it may push people onto higher bands using FT8, and that's good. I think the bands which are marginal, that's where the FT8 I think is most useful. I think it's not the fault of the mode so much. I mean, if you go into the ham radio press, you read Radcom, for instance, the VHF and the HF operating reports. It is just all FT8.
Yes.
I mean, it's new, so it's news, I guess.
Yeah.
But because the performance is a lot better, it's what gets the attention. And so other modes have just, they don't bear mentioning, and so you've had a critical mass on FT8, and other modes have just dropped by the wayside, which I think it's a great shame. And it's got to be the RSGB and people like that have got to change that. I think encourage PSK use and stuff like that.
The reason it's so popular in the press is because it's so popular on the air. They reckon something about 80% of contacts made are on FT8.
Yeah, it's a bit of both, though. It's a bit of both, I think. I don't think it's... And again, it's the DXCC has made a huge difference, is that you're lumping all the digital modes together, and there's just no incentive to do some of these digital modes if you just want to chase DXCC. Yeah. I mean, you're right. I mean, people are, I think, voting with their mouse clickers. And FT8 is just so much better. But I think that's an argument for, some sort of official support for the bands which are quote unquote inferior. So people have a choice again.
I mean, I think I said to you last night, Evan, when I first started FT8 and I worked the first South American country, I got all right buzz out of it. It was good. Yeah. And then I worked another one, and then I worked another one, and then I worked China, and then I worked Australia, and then I worked all these countries all over the world. Now, I get much more satisfaction of getting a 3,000-mile contact on SSB than I do in getting a 12,000-mile contact on FT8. FT8 doesn't float me boat in the same way as getting a SSB contact. Well, that's just me. I don't expect anybody else to share that feeling. It's the way I feel. I get much more satisfaction out of a single sideband contact, even if it's only 3,000 miles, rather than the 12,000 miles. I mean, into Australia.
Well, I think you know that SSB is going to be 27 decibels less sensitive than FT8. But I think, like Pete's situation, he's got he doesn't have a very good antenna system. That's perfect for people doing FT8, but it just seems that so many people, I see them at like the RSGB convention, people who used to be big CW and SSB hands are just going FT8, and I think, and using an extraordinary amount of power, and I thought, well, what's the challenge in that?
It's true.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like any other. I've tried every single mode on ham radio that there is, I think. And I think you find your own niche at the end of the day. And I don't decry anybody that wants to work FT8 all the time. That's fine. If it suits them, it suits them. But you find your own niche. And at the moment, because recently becoming an M0 and getting more power, recently getting a better antenna that's more resin, I'm tending to work more stations on SSB and getting more satisfaction out of it.
Good.
Because it's far more challenging than FT8 is. I mean, switching the computer on, switching the radio and clicking around a few times and seeing, oh, yeah, it's him again. Well, it's him again. And then just logging them all. You know, whereas if I talk to somebody and exchange 73s and what have you in call signs, I get more of a satisfaction out of it. Well, that's just me. Yes, Peter. I think, Peter, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I did. One good thing about FT8, if you want to find out if a band's open, try it on FT8. If there's any chance of any contact anywhere in the world, it'll show up on FT8.
What a good point. What a very good point. And I do that from time to time. Check the band on FT8, try to make a couple of contacts, shut it down and go on to SSB. That's what I tend to do.
That is good. And certainly for if the decibel level is sort of getting towards -10 or something like that, or away from where the the FT8 performance is, but you should be able to look at that because you've got so many contacts to look at, all listed, haven't you? And you may find that CW or SSB or the standard digital modes will be open on that path. And I guess you could use Whisper for that thing as well. You just got to adjust. You just got to allow for the fact that Whisper is just so much better than a normal mode, and look at the decibel rating. And,
but Whisper takes such a long time.
Oh, that's true. I sort of look at it. It's someone else's job that I'm looking at. I look at WhisperNet and just sort of and see if how people are doing. But yeah, they're the ones doing the hard work, not me.
I'll have a further comment. If anybody wants to take FT8 a bit further, there's a very good set of hints by Gary Hinson. If you Google Hinson's tips, it'll give you really good advice on how to use FT8, how to get the best out of the mode.
That's good, that, Peter. Yeah.
Put it on the website, put it on GSRS.
I mean, it's like I said right at the beginning. I tried to keep the mini presentation reasonably short because I don't want to bore people too much. But just giving you the basics. There is so much information out there on operating FT8 with different radios. You can find it on YouTube, Google it, and there's always some site somewhere that will help you with settings, help you with how to operate and so on and so forth. There's so much information out there, I mean, everything I know about radio, I've got on the internet, including FT8. I didn't ask anybody how to set up. My first experience with FT8 was when we went on the trip from the club to Bletchley Park. And I knew nothing about FT8 till I walked into the RSGB radio room. And I saw this guy there with a computer screen with all these coloured bars across. And I started talking, what's that? It's digital mode. I'm waiting for some signals coming in from Japan and this, that, and the other. I thought, well, what's this all about? So I looked it up. And I thought, I'll have a go at that. So I downloaded the software. I looked on how to set it up on my radio. And I got all the information I needed, either off YouTube or the internet. And like I say, when I first set it up and it worked, eureka. And I was making these contacts. It was fine. It was fantastic. And then as my interest changed slightly, I find that I was using FT8 less and less and less. And because I've got power at my disposal and a better antenna, I've moved across more to SSB. But that's just me. But I do feel that FT8's got its place, without a doubt. It's definitely got its place. But it's up to the individual, really, how they want to operate and how they want to, pursue their interest in the hobby, basically.
Yeah.
I just hope that people don't think it's the only digital thing that's out there.
That is a danger, isn't it? Yeah.
I mean, I did actually, you were talking about what's on the internet. There was a guy who, like yourself, was an FT8 fan, and that's what he did all the time. But then he sort of wanted something a bit more challenging, so he went to Olivia, and that's something else that the radio establishment, if you want to call it, hasn't really promoted, these sort of conversational piccolo modes. Years ago, you used to sort of find it around sort of 14074 was MFSK 16, which again is sort of like a middle range between PSK and FT8. So it was, I think it had about 16 different tones. So that's what the MFSK, like radio teletype, had 2 tones, but this had 16 different tones which would dance around, so it sounded musical. And so you had this, what they would call the Piccolo Modes.
Yeah.
And Olivia being another one. And they were really good. I mean, they gave you a reasonably fast conversational digital mode. Bandwidth was a bit wide. The spectrum it took up was a bit wide, but you wouldn't want everyone on at the same time. But it got you a good range. And they used to say in the old days of the diplomatic wireless service, the CW or the RTTY circuits would close to Singapore or whatever early, but the Piccolo modes, the equivalent of SK 16 and Olivia and that would go for another hour or two, because they're much more robust.
Yeah.
So there's a bit of a halfway house between your PSK or your RTTY and your weak signal, modes. Yeah, I wish the ARRL and the RSGB would encourage these things, but they're not doing it.
No,
and that is a real shame.
Yeah.
Evan.
Mm.
Evan, with what you were saying then about, you just hope people don't think there's just FT8. I don't know who's got the most knowledge, but would it be worth somebody trying to write a small article for UUA so we can let other members know what different formats are out there?
Okay. Did you want me to do that? Or
yeah, if you can do it.
Yeah.
Next,
look, I won't slag off FT8. I'm not.
Thanks, Evan.
Yeah.
Yeah, next one's not due till February, the end of February. So you've got a bit of time yet.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Shut the big mouth, no.
There you go.
Right. Well done, Evan. Well done.
Well done. So does anybody else want to make any more comments? Tony's not on tonight. He's asked me to host it, so I just thought I'd come on. But it was a good talk, that Keith. Really enjoyed that. Good.
Like I say, it's only a brief introduction. It doesn't, in no way, shape, or form, what did I want to go on for hours and hours and hours.
No, that's fine.
Settings and things. It's a brief introduction, if you like, to anybody that doesn't know anything about FT8, and that's what it was written for.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Really good.
Very informative.
Does anybody else want to make any comments?
Well, just very informative. It was very informative, Keith. Well done. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, very helpful, Keith.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Very much.
Very much. Thank you. Oh, by the way, if anybody has any questions on any part of that, maybe I went too quickly for, by all means, email me, and I will try and help you as best I can. If you're struggling with something, what did he say about that? What did he say about that? What did he say about that hour? Just
the other thing as well, we can stick it up on a YouTube channel as well, so Heather's going to sort that out. So if anybody else wants to watch it again, you can go on our YouTube page and have a look.
One thing I did forget to do, and that's recording.
Was what?
I forgot to record it.
I've recorded it, so
I
you're
thought
all
there
right.
was some little thing showing up. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. So, come on, Chris.
I've just woke up and I missed it.
What, Chris?
Fell asleep.
Oh, you just woke up, Chris?
You should You shouldn't have RRR at the end. It should be ZZZ at the FT8 QSO.
No, brilliant, mate. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Very good.
You're welcome.
Well, you're very welcome to stay on and chat. I can keep it open as long as you want. But if not, we can call it a night or whatever you want to do. It's up to anybody.
I'll have to go.
I think.
I'll go now. Thank you very much.
Oh, no problem at all. Anybody else wants to ask any questions? See you later, Bert.
Cheers. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for the info. Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good
Cheers.
one.
No problem.
Yeah.
Good to see everybody on.
Yeah. Good night, fellas.
Yeah.
Everybody.
See you later, Chris.
Cheers. Cheers.
And I'm going as
See you
well.
later, Tom.
See you,
Yeah,
folks.
guys.
See you later, David.
That was excellent, Keith. Thank you, Keith. Great.
Welcome. Welcome. Right, I think we're all disappearing, aren't we, Nige?
Yeah, I think we've got 4 left. I think it's John Cressy, John K. All I can see is his ironing board.
That's one of them.
You're going to say we don't use an ironing board. We've got a dry machine to do that. Oh, brilliant. Yeah, it was good, that, Keith, tonight. I'm going to definitely have a look at that.
What radio have you got, Nige?
I've got an FT990, so I don't know if it'll work. I'll have to have a look. I'm sure it will.
If it's got have you got a USB socket on it
No.
at the back?
It's one of the old 8-pin, like display pin things. I don't think it's got a USB.
In which case, you will need some form of interface.
Yeah, I had a feeling I might.
I
I can have a look.
I mean, do you remember I talked to you before I got rid of it about the ICOM IC 7200?
Yeah.
That I traded in.
Yeah.
That was one of the first radios that ICOM produced with a built-in sound card.
Right, yeah.
And that works seamlessly on FT8. But that dates back to about 2010. So that's like 10 years old. So I would, if your radio is probably more than 10 years old as a ballpark figure, I would imagine you might need some form of interface.
Yeah, it is. It's probably 20 years old.
I would imagine it would need an interface, albeit they're not very expensive. You can buy different ones that are reasonably priced. And I know that if ever you wanted to try it, Evan would have the information on what the best interface to use, because I remember him doing a talk on interfaces at the club.
That's right, yeah. I can remember that. It's one of them. It interests me, but I don't know if I'm going to spend some money on it. I don't know. If I've got to buy an interface for it, I'll probably do a bit more research on YouTube, and like you say, I'll have a look at this video and have a look. But it was just interesting because I heard loads of people at the club talk about it, and you know, when you think, oh yeah, I'll ask somebody eventually, and then it never comes around to doing it unless you have a talk like this. So it's been good.
Yeah. And like I say, I mean, I could have gone on for 2 hours, 3 hours even, going through every single flipping setting within that program that you could do to configure it. And that's why I kept reiterating the point. If you are interested in FT8, I'm giving you the ballpark settings to get you started.
Yeah.
After that, it's up to you to research it.
Yeah.
Go on the internet, go on YouTube, look at videos, and see how other people do it. They're not do it the same as me.
Well, it's the other thing as well, as I've learned a little bit more about the way you exchange your upload for your login as well. So I'm going to have a go at doing that, because I've got Club Log of the World, and I've also got Logger 32 on, but I've never been able to. I've always done it where I've just copy and pasted, or I've done it separately. So that's a good idea. I'm going to have a play at that. See if I can transfer them over from one to the other.
That logging program I've shown you, which was Logger 32, is excellent because it's dead easy.
I've got that. It is good, yeah.
It's very easy to set up to interface with EQSL.
Yeah, which I've got as well.
Interfaces with QRZ, dead easy.
Yeah.
And then you have a separate account if you want confirmations, a lot of people are not interested in confirmations. They just want to click received and log and say, oh, I've worked that country and whatever.
Yeah.
But if you want, like me, you want confirmations, then the best way to do it is definitely through Logbook of the World.
Yeah.
Which is a pig to set up. I won't dress it up any more than that. It's a bit of a pig to set up.
Yeah.
But once you've set it up, it's there for life.
Right.
And if ever you lose it off your computer for whatever reason, your computer crashes or whatever, you just contact them and they know that you've got an account with them and they just download you another certificate.
John's asked, what's RRR?
RRR?
Yeah, he's put, what's RRR? I'm not got a clue. Don't know,
you
mate.
mean on the FT8, John?
Yeah.
Yes.
When I'm doing anything on FT8 and I get some of them come back with the RRR,
yeah,
rather than receive 73, I just presume it's receive.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, could be.
You know, because you know when I showed you those boxes where it says, I didn't touch on this very much, but where I said you enable standard messages.
Yeah.
You can actually type in a message of your own there.
Right.
And if you just click on it, you could put on your CQ box, CQ Far East.
Right.
Or CQ USA.
Yeah.
Or CQ Australia.
Because I always thought it was going to be a two-way conversation instead of it being a noise and then you just that noise is your transmission.
The noise.
I thought
it's the digital signal.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but I thought there would be some way of a contact, as in, isn't RTTY where you can actually type a word in and it comes over and you can type back to each other like text.
RTTY is where you can actually type it.
Yeah.
In SK31 is where you set up your own macros.
Right. Well, I thought FT8 would be like that, where it isn't, is it? It's just literally a tone, like a tone burst, and then they send another burst back to you, and that's your contact, isn't it? Yeah.
The main problem with FT8, well, as far as I see anyway, is the fact that a lot of people, I'm not aiming this as a criticism, because people operate FT8 as they want to operate FT8.
Yeah, that's right.
It's the fact that I showed you before on that first contact, he came back to me once,
yeah,
and I went back to him.
Yeah.
Then I went back to him again. Then I went back to him again. Then I went back to him again.
Yeah.
All that is because of propagation.
Right, yeah. Would he have got that up on his screen to say that you've gone back to him 4 times, though?
No, because he's not receiving me. So
right, I see what you mean, yeah.
So what some people do is they get fed up of keep trying. So they move down the box to receive 73.
Yeah,
and then click on that, send 73s, and then log it as a QSO. But it isn't strictly a QSO because
he might not have even got the 73s one at the end, mightn't he?
Exactly.
Right, exactly. I see what you mean. Yeah. Yeah. It's like you say, it can be down to...
just put some up. I don't know whether that's a question for me.
It's just patience is sometimes
needed. And that is definitely what is needed.
Yeah.
Because if it's a DXCC you really, really want to work, like I did with the Greenland one, it took me 10 minutes of sending before I got the 73 back.
And it could be just the fact that bit of propagation, it just accepted it. And
well, you know what it's like on SSB.
Oh, yeah.
How many times do you hear somebody calling CQ?
Yeah.
So you go on and you say your call sign back to him. And in my case, you might say M0, go ahead.
Yeah.
M0 question mark or whatever. Yeah. M0, what was your prefix? So you repeat it. And he says, again.
Yeah.
You repeat it. He says, again. And then he says, sorry, not heard. Try again later. Now, would you log that as a QSO?
Well, you shouldn't do, really, should you?
No, definitely not, because
No.
one, you haven't exchanged signal reports.
Yeah, and he's not got your call sign either.
And you haven't exchanged your call sign.
No,
well,
that's
it's
right.
a similar thing with FT8.
Yeah.
It's like an unwritten etiquette, if you like.
Yeah.
That 73 should be exchanged and received by both parties.
Yeah, definitely.
And the same as SSB, signal reports and call signs should be exchanged and understood.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is, it's still going over by RF, isn't it? It's not as an internet-based thing, which is one good part of it. Which
I don't get annoyed because people are entitled to their opinion.
Yeah, definitely.
When I used to be at the club when we used to meet.
Yeah.
Loads of people came up to me and said, "You work FT8, that's cheating, it's plastic, you're going over the internet." No,
well,
you're not.
It's not over the internet, is it? It's
RF from my antenna to theirs.
That's right. So that's something I've learned, because I didn't know that until tonight. So again, someone else have learned. So.
Now, can somebody tell me the difference between somebody that does CW? CW is a mode.
Yeah.
CW, a lot of people enjoy.
Yeah.
I've done it myself, although I found it's not for me.
Nor me.
But a lot of people that operate CW use a machine to type it and a machine to receive it.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, macro or
so
whatever.
You tell me, what is the difference between that and FT8?
There isn't really, is there?
No.
Apart from the fact that you can actually send and receive a personal message, there's not any different, really, is there?
No. One thing I didn't say, when I showed you that other program that sort of attached itself to the bottom, which was Wsjt Reporter.
Yeah.
Or Alerts, sorry. And I said I can see stations that have worked before.
Yeah.
One thing you can do with that is send the person a text message.
Right, I see. Yeah.
So if you're not sure whether your 73s was received or you've not received 73s from him, you can send him a quick text.
Right.
And it'll appear on the screen.
Yeah.
Logged in QSO. And he'll come, he could come back to you and say, "I'm sorry, I didn't get it." Or he could come back and he'll say, "Yes, QSO received, thank you, logged."
Yeah.
So there's all sorts of different things you can do with it.
Yeah.
With those programs. But if I was to have explained every single setting, it would have been here till midnight.
Yeah, I know. No problem. That's super duper. Well, I'm gonna shut it down in a sec, Keith, because
I'm going down for a pint anyway.
I don't blame you, mate. I think you might.
I'm going to the FT8 bar.
Superb.
Yeah.
Well,
nice to see you, Nice to see
you, mate. Thanks very much for coming on, mate.
All the best. Yeah.
See you later, John.
Take care, lad. And
see you in a bit. Cheers, mate. John's not going, you see, that's the only thing.
Tough.
Well, I can end it now anyway. I've ended it, so how's that going to end then?